One of the biggest mistakes in health is focusing entirely on what we put into the body while ignoring whether the body can actually deliver it. People focus on oxygen, they focus on nutrients, they focus on supplements, they focus on medications, they focus on peptides, hormones, stem cell injections, red light therapy, hyperbarics, and countless other interventions. But what if the real problem isn't what is available? What if the real problem is delivery? Because if oxygen can't get into the tissue, it doesn't matter how much oxygen is available. If nutrients can't reach the cells, it doesn't matter how healthy your diet is. If signaling molecules can't get to where they need to go, they can't do their job. Everything depends on delivery. And what this diagram is about, this diagram shows two very different physiological states. One side shows low CO2 state or chronic overbreathing, and the other side shows adequate CO2 state or calm breathing. And what makes the states different isn't oxygen, it's blood flow. So let's start with the left side with the chronic overbreathing. Now, when people hear the word hyperventilation, they often picture someone having a panic attack. But hyperventilation doesn't always look dramatic. Many people breathe slightly more than their body actually requires all day long, including nighttime while they're sleeping. Stress can contribute to it, anxiety can contribute to it, mouth breathing can contribute to it. Even certain fitness practices all contribute to it. Over time, this can lower carbon dioxide levels. As carbon dioxide levels start to drop, something very important begins to happen. Blood vessels begin to constrict. You get reduced blood flow to the brain. And as the blood vessels constrict, this is where the delivery problem begins. And the brain is especially sensitive to this. The brain consumes enormous amounts of energy. It requires a constant supply of oxygen and nutrients. And the body uses carbon dioxide as one of the major regulators of cerebral blood flow. When carbon dioxide falls, blood vessels in the brain constrict. As they constrict, less blood reaches the brain tissue. And less blood means less delivery, which means reduced blood flow to the brain. Notice this doesn't necessarily mean there's less oxygen in the brain. So many people are surprised by that. You can have perfectly normal oxygen saturation. You can have plenty of oxygen available. But if blood flow is reduced, delivery is reduced. And from the cell's perspective, delivery is what really matters. The cell doesn't care how much oxygen is available somewhere else. The cell only cares about what actually reaches it. And this may help explain why some people experience brain fog, fatigue, and headaches, poor concentration, reduced resilience to stress. The issue may not simply be oxygen availability. The issue is more likely oxygen delivery. Now let's zoom in beyond the brain to the constricted blood vessels. The narrowed capillary represents what can happen throughout the body. When vessels constrict, less blood reaches the tissues, less oxygen reaches the tissues, less nutrient delivery, less waste removal, less communication, less support for cellular function. Everything becomes less efficient. And that's why I often refer to this as a delivery problem. So now let's compare to the other side when you're in an adequate CO2 state. On the right, carbon dioxide levels are maintained. The result is very different. Blood vessels relax, they dilate, blood flow increases, and when blood flow increases, delivery improves. So notice the vascular network. The vessels are larger. More blood is reaching the tissue, more oxygen is reaching the tissue, and more nutrients are reaching the tissue as well. Waste products can be removed more efficiently. The entire delivery system improves. And this is why many people report improvements in things like mental clarity, focus, calmness, resilience, recovery, energy, not necessarily because they have more oxygen, but because the oxygen they already have is being delivered more efficiently. And this same principle applies throughout the body. An open capillary means more blood can move through the system. More blood means more delivery. More delivery means better support for cellular function. And cellular function ultimately translates into healthier overall performance. And this is why I don't view carbon dioxide as primarily a waste gas. I view it as part of the body's delivery infrastructure. It's one of the mechanisms that helps regulate where blood goes and how effectively oxygen reaches the tissues. So now let's look at some of the reasons why. First, carbon dioxide helps blood vessels relax and dilate, and that directly affects circulation. And circulation is delivery. And second, CO2 is necessary for oxygen to be released from the hemoglobin. This is known as the Bohr effect. This is a concept that I think deserves far more attention. Many people focus entirely on oxygen into the blood, but oxygen isn't useful while it's attached to hemoglobin. It becomes useful when it leaves hemoglobin and enters the tissue. Carbon dioxide helps facilitate that process. In other words, carbon dioxide doesn't just help deliver blood, it helps deliver oxygen from the blood into the cells themselves. Third, CO2 leads to better perfusion, better function. And as more oxygen reaches the brain, more glucose reaches the brain, more resources become available to support neurological function. And fourth, improved circulation supports the mitochondria. Mitochondria are often called the power plants of the cell, but even the best power plant cannot function if supplies never arrive. Mitochondria need oxygen, they need nutrients, they need proper conditions. Everything still comes back to delivery. And finally, better delivery often leads to greater resilience to stress. The body becomes more adaptable, more responsive, more capable of maintaining function during physical or mental stress. And this leads to the final takeaway of the diagram: breathe less and breathe better. Not less oxygen, not less life, simply less unnecessary breathing, more efficient breathing, breathing that supports healthy carbon dioxide levels. Because even when carbon dioxide levels are maintained, blood flow improves. When blood flow improves, delivery improves. And when delivery improves, every system downstream has better chance to function the way it was designed to. So if there's one thing I want you to remember from this image, it's that many health challenges can be viewed through the lens of a delivery problem. The entire body may already have oxygen. The body may have nutrients. The body may already have the raw material it needs, but none of these things really matter if they cannot reach the cells that need them. Carbon dioxide helps regulate that delivery system. It helps regulate blood flow. It helps regulate oxygen unloading. It helps regulate perfusion. And when those processes improve, the entire system often functions more effectively. At the end of the day, health isn't just about what you put into your body. It's about whether your body can deliver it and utilize it. And that's why I believe carbon dioxide deserves far more attention than it currently receives.